Hi, welcome to this overview of the Asus Slate EP121 tablet PC. This is the Windows 7 Slate that was introduced by Asus at CES earlier this month. It comes in two versions, a 32GB SSD, 2GB RAM version that retails for $999, and a 64GB SSD, 4GB RAM version that retails for $1,099. That's the version here. It is available for pre-order at Amazon, Newegg, and the Microsoft Store, and it is available at brick-and-mortar stores. Fry's has carried it and is currently carrying it. That's where I got this one. It's in tight supply right now, but I heard Amazon customers are starting to get shipping emails, so they should start coming out in the wild in bigger numbers in the next week or two. So keep your eye out on that if you're interested in picking this device up. Now, one thing to note is I did a clean install of Windows Ultimate 64-bit on this device. It comes with Windows Home Premium 64-bit, and it's easy to install OSs on the device. It'll boot off the USB ports with an external optical drive or flash drive. However, if you do a clean install, the issue will be getting software back onto the device. While Asus does include drivers for the hardware, they don't include packages for the software installs, so getting the software back could be a problem if you do a clean install. You can, of course, do an upgrade install and keep the existing software, so that's an option if you want to do it that way. Overall, this is a wonderful Windows 7 tablet. It's got a big, bright, beautiful screen. It's very powerful with an i5 470UM processor. Its weaknesses are going to be in the battery life department compared to mobile OS tablets. It gets about 3 hours of desktop usage, general web surfing, running Office, using the Wacom pen for inking, that sort of thing. And it's a bit heavy at 2.6 pounds. But as I said, it's very powerful. It really is powerful enough to replace a lot of people's laptops. In fact, it's probably more powerful than a lot of people's laptops. And it's probably going to have a much better screen than 90% of the laptops out there. It's just a wonderful screen. It's a technology apparently called active fringe field switching by a company called Bohitis. It's a proprietary technology. It's similar to IPS with great viewing angles, which I'll show you later. And it also actually works fairly well outdoors. I was surprised at how good of a display it is, even in bright sunlight. Now, it's got a glossy display, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. But otherwise, it's going to work pretty much in any indoor environment, just by adjusting the brightness level if you have to deal with direct lighting situations. So let's go over the contents of what's included in the box. Here we have our obligatory cleaning obligatory microfiber cloth that comes with all kinds of tablets these days. These are extra nubs for the Wacom pen and an extractor to pull them out when they wear down. A recovery CD for restoring the unit back to its factory default. As I said, it's very easy to install OSs with an external drive on it. And we have our warranty card and sparse printed documentation. Here we have our power brick, and it's light, about 11 ounces. A nice touch that Asus added is a USB connector for charging phones and mobile devices, MP3 players. Now, when this device came out at Computex last year in May, Asus was demoing it with a docking solution that sort of made it a hybrid, like the transformer that Asus introduced at CES just a couple weeks ago. I guess they couldn't get that to work, so they came up with a kind of a low-tech solution, which is effective if you're using it on a desk or a surface. It really won't work as a laptop, as this solution won't work in your lap with the keyboard. But we'll get into that. I'll show you that in a second here. This keyboard, this is just a rebranded Microsoft keyboard, about a pound thin, pretty decent keyboard. And here's the cover. It's kind of hefty at about a pound, but it's solid, and it's designed to support the unit in 3 different orientations, which I'll show in a second here. Now let's get to the device. First of all, I'm going to start out with the sides here. This is a very interesting device in that it packs a lot of power in the i5. It doesn't have an external graphics solution. It just uses Intel HD graphics, so it won't have the greatest graphics performance, obviously. But the i5 actually stays very cool in this device. Air only flows out of this 1/3 section of the top vent. It's a very lukewarm air. It's a very quiet device. I've been playing videos, light gaming on it. You just can't hear it, and it just does not get warm. Very, very effective cooling solution. At the top here, we have our power button and sleep button. It boots up very quickly. You can be on a desktop in under 30 seconds with a browser pulled up. Very fast there. Hardware keyboard button to pull up the Windows keyboard if you so choose to do it with a button. Next we have a switch for the screen rotation. This is a Windows device, and as such it doesn't orient itself quickly. Windows isn't really designed to do that. The accelerometer isn't meant to control the device, it's just meant to orient the screen. On the far side here we have the pin slot for the Wacom pen. Pops out very nicely. It's a rather long pen. Difference between this and most pens you see on tablet PCs is that there's no button on it, which I actually like because I'm always hitting that thing. It's got an eraser. You can use pretty much any Wacom pen. My TM2 pen works. A pen from a Toshiba convertible I bought from 5 years ago works just fine on it. On this side we just have a speaker. Speaker's pretty loud, pretty clean sound, but it'll work in a quieter environment, but it's not going to blow anything away. More vents here at the bottom, and this is where most of the connectivity options are. In fact, all the connectivity options are. We have our power jack here. It's very small. I was trying to find an external battery solution to help out with the battery life. There is a device made by Energizer called the XP18000, which you can buy, and while it does not include an adapter for this plug in the box, Energizer claims that if you provide them a picture of the plug, they'll figure out a way to find you one. So I've already provided that information, and hopefully there will be an external battery solution coming for this to help with increased mobility away from the power jack. Rocker switch for volume, mini HDMI output, combination microphone, headphone jack. One of the things I least like about this device are these USB covers. They are quite hard to pry open. Plus you have to kind of pull it back in place, hold it in place to get the device plugged in properly. So if you're going to be plugging things in and out of it from time to time, I would suggest maybe you just put like a little portable hub in there to make it a little easier, because I don't think most people will be able to pull this out with their fingers. Another USB port, SD slot, that pops in pretty nicely, spring loaded as most of them are, and another speaker. Now going to the back of the device, we have, it's kind of a cheap plasticky feel to it. For a device this price, it would seem like it'd be a little nicer back, but just an aesthetic thing. I think that it's made out of plastic to keep it light, and also it probably helps with the thermals. And they're so good, and like I said, so quiet, so cool that I can live with the plastic back there. Not a big deal. Now, Going back to the front of the device here, like I said, beautiful screen. You should be able to see it in all orientations quite well without any color shifting or banding. Great viewing angles. There's a button here, the home button, which by default just uses Windows Flip 3D. Kind of neat. A little bit of a gimmick. You can probably navigate much easier just using the taskbar. Now let's get into showing you the stand and keyboard solution they came up with. The case doubles as a stand, slides in the side very easily. Velcro little latch there holds it in place nicely. And by default, the stand props it up pretty much like a laptop screen. You bring your Bluetooth keyboard into range. With a mouse, an external mouse, you have a working laptop of sorts. Doesn't really work in your lap, but it will work very effectively on a desktop or a desk surface as a laptop. So that's very useful for extended productivity types of usages on your desk. Now there's two other ways that you can orient the device in the case. Here you see two more flaps. If you pull this flap out, the device will lie lower in landscape orientation. And then if you pull the other flap out, you can flip the device into a portrait orientation. So it gives you some flexibility in supporting and propping up the device, even without a keyboard. This is a nice way to kind of use it to view movies. If you were, traveling or whatnot on a plane or someplace that had a surface to hold it on, that's kind of nice. So, just in a quick review here, we have a good performing device here. Very large screen, 12.1 inches, 1280 by 800 resolution. It has a Wacom pen, and it does support palm rejection, so I can write on it without my hand getting in the way. And I'll show we'll do an inking demo and show OneNote and the tablet input panel and the nice eraser. 3.5 hours of battery life in desktop, general desktop usage scenarios. 2.6 pounds weight, those will be the negatives, but the positives will be the performance and the screen and the fact that this really is as powerful as a laptop. It's definitely more powerful than a cheap laptop and as powerful as a lot more laptops in its price range. In fact, you're probably going to find a difficult time finding a screen this good and a machine this fast at this price range. So it's a compelling device just from the standpoint of it packs so many nice features into a device this size. Its weaknesses on the battery life, will make it not as mobile, but if you don't need to be away from a power socket or you can live with using an external battery, which would add about a pound of weight to the device. It's a compelling mobile computer, I believe, and I think that it has definitely a use for artists. From what I understand, love the screen. The pen works very well from an artistic standpoint. It definitely works well from a note-taking standpoint. I think students will love it. It's a very thin machine, so it actually lies flat on a desk and effectively becomes a notebook that's easy to write on. At only about 7 tenths of an inch thick, it's quite thin. So there you have it, the Asus Slate EP121. Thanks for watching.